So this is step 4. This is the last step. We're almost done. So let's get started. But basically, this step is the actual catch up. So we're going to catch up your books. So we're going to make sure that you have all transactions, like business money in and out transactions, recorded. Then you're going to make sure they are categorized so we know what they are. And then you'll be ready to file taxes, get that loan, or just see where all your money went. Okay, so I'm going to show you the what I've called the catch-up checklist. You can also think of it could also be called a year-end checklist, like what you do at the end of the year to make sure your books are ready to file taxes. But if you're not doing this at the end of the year, maybe you're just doing this in the summer just to catch up for the year, or you're filing taxes late. So it's not always at the end of the year that you're doing this. So I will make myself smaller. Oh, this has changed. Uh, and then pull this up. Okay, so let's look at this. Sorry, Adobe wasn't playing nice when I went full screen, but maybe I can trick it. Oh, there we go. Yes. So this is a checklist of things you want to do to make sure your books are ready to file taxes. And now it's going to go in order, and if you have the PDF, it's kind of the same checklist. This is just if you want it in one place, like as something easy to check things off. So we're just going to go down this. And so first thing you want to do is verify all your transactions are recorded. And that means they all have a date. They have, you could call it a payee name, but basically who did you pay or who paid you, a description, and a category. So the description is what was this for? Like what did you buy? Why did you buy it? And that way you'll know later when you come back like what it was. And then a category, if you use software, they'll also call this an account, which is confusing because then you think it's like your bank account name. But the category is just like, was this an office expense? Was this supplies or materials for the job or project or service? So you kind of want to specify that. Again, this is not a detailed overview of how to do or a detailed course on how to do your books. And so there are probably a few more things with this. Like you do want to know like what account this came out of. But again, this is just a general guide. So it's not an exhaustive, detailed how to, step-by-step process. So verify all transactions are recorded, either in your spreadsheet or in your software. Okay, next, we want to reconcile all bank accounts, credit cards, and loans. So what does that mean? Reconciling, basically we're just checking between these two sets of records or documents, do they say the same thing? And if not, figure out why not and then fix it. So let's say, like again, that third-party software, if they have your invoices, if they say all these invoices are paid, do your own records that you're keeping, which you should be keeping, also show them as paid. And if not, figure out the discrepancy. Are you wrong? Are they wrong? Or is just something that you both missed? So that's reconciling. So first you want to do your bank accounts, credit cards, and loans. So bank accounts, just make sure that what your records say on the last day of the either year or month that you're catching up, if you're doing this like just part of the year, but make sure that your records balance. So let's say on your records you're supposed to have like $100 at the end of the month on 12/31. Make sure that your statement says the same thing, and if it does, you're good. Credit cards. These are weird because they don't always end at the end of the month. They're sometimes in the middle or like the 21st. So you basically want to make sure that at the end of that statement date, your records and the statement are the same. And if not, figure out why. Sometimes like a payment can come in a little bit later. So maybe you have it recorded, but it's not on the statement. And so that's fine. You just, it'll show up on the next statement. Okay, loans. So what your records show that your loan balance still owed is needs to match what's on the statement. And you want to make sure all your payments that you made are showing up on the statement too. Okay. Now moving on to preparing and filing 1099s. So if you have people who are 1099 workers, then you want to do this. If you don't have anyone, you can skip this. Basically, you're going to calculate how much you paid each service provider, so each person or business. And then if you paid them 600 or more, then make sure you have their W-9, because that will tell you if you need to send them a 1099 or not. And then once you get the W-9s, then file 1099s. So you'll send it out, and you can use like a software like Track 1099, or I think QuickBooks has it also. I don't personally use it, but it can be easy if you already have QuickBooks, and then just follow their steps to get that done. Or if your tax person's going to do it, yeah, just follow their directions to finish this. Okay. Now, if you have payroll, you need to complete payroll task. And this is assuming you're using a payroll provider like Gusto or ADP and not doing it yourself. If you're doing this yourself, I hope you're working with a tax person, because there's you need to file forms and paperwork, and so they'll help you with that. This is just a general overview, but you basically want to make sure that if payroll's on your books, which it should be, but if it is, it needs to match your payroll records for how much wages was paid, and your employer, like how much your business paid in taxes for your employees. And then you also need to follow their instructions to file W-2s. Okay, if you have inventory, do an inventory count. And yeah, just do that. And then make sure it's recorded on the books correctly as well. Then you want to review your unpaid invoices and bills. Just make sure they are, like, if they're showing as unpaid, just make sure they're actually unpaid. And then, and make corrections as needed. And then you also want to get together your deductions for taxes. So if you've have mileage that you drove, then you want to make sure you have that recorded and ready to hand to your tax person. Your estimated tax payments, you want to have a record of those so you can show it to them as well, so they have that total. And then also, if you have to take a home office deduction, just have all those transactions recorded. Okay, and then next, you want to send all your reports to your tax person. So definitely a good idea to check on exactly what they need, but generally usually need the general ledger and profit and loss statement. And if you're an S Corp, you'll want the balance sheet as well. But then check with the tax person to see if there's anything else they need specifically that's not listed on here. Because again, this is a general guide. All right. So I know it's a long list, but you can use this list, add to it as needed, cross off anything that doesn't apply to you, and just go step by step.